All right, today we have a really interesting guest for the show. I'm really excited. This is going to be something that's you haven't, surely I haven't had on my show, which is an extremely young entrepreneur that's doing some pretty cool stuff. So I have Ethan Hilton, who's the CEO and co-founder of, get it right, Caseflood.ai. And I'm a big AI. I love AI stuff. So I'm curious about just how he's approaching it, but also want to hear his story because I know a lot of people out there talk about wanting to be an entrepreneur. They talk about wanting to start something and life gets in the way, kids get in the way, marriage gets in the way, all kinds of stuff. So Ethan's here done that. He's done this before any of that stuff starts. So uh, Ethan, why don't you first just introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about what you're doing, and then we'll jump into more about your story. And I know it's going to inspire some people.
Absolutely. It's absolutely a pleasure to have me on. I appreciate you inviting me, John. My name is Ethan. So right now, I'm in the process of getting this company up and going. It's Caseflood.ai. I actually did a legal tech company before it. And through doing it, I talked to a lot of lawyers, like a lot of lawyers, and I learned a lot about their problems. And there was this one problem that just kept on coming up over and over. And it was that most small law firms just don't have the capacity or infrastructure to do client qualification. The process of gathering relevant insights from prospective clients to see if they have a case the lawyer wants. I wondered if it's like a regional problem or something like that, because I just kept on seeing it. So I took to the web and I found a study done by Clio. Clio is the leading case management software company. And what Clio did is send out 1,000 phone calls to law firms across the nation, pretending to be a client. And they found that only 56% of law firms actually picked up the phone. And the rest went to voicemail. And on average, about 20% of people that actually reached voicemail bother leaving a message. I thought that was insane. It's such a core part of a law firm's business. So for the past few months, I have engineered a solution with my co-founder. We created the first ever AI receptionist for lawyers. It's multilingual, highly effective at qualifying clients, all with super easy to use drag and drop customization. And we've reached some pretty exciting progress. We just finished winning the world's largest high school pitch competition in the nation, got flown out, congressmen, etc. And we're currently in the process of raising and starting our pilot program with 15 law firms.
Wow, that's awesome. And so nationally recognized now at for this pretty incredible pitch competition. And so for the listeners who might say, did I hear that right? You said high school pitch competition. So yes, he is a CEO and founder of a company, and not
Yeah.
just and not just like new. I mean, you mentioned you did another company before this. So when did you kind of start doing this entrepreneurial kind of thing? At what age?
So it depends how strongly you define entrepreneurial. I think ever since I was like super little, it has been something I've been doing. There's actually kind of a funny story. My mom was really upset. But what happened when I was in second grade was one day I took all the ingredients from the lunch line. And once again, the lunch line, it was connected to my parents' credit card. And I would take all the food and I made like this cool thing out of the food. It was like pizza out of the burrito thing, whatever. And the kids thought it was really cool. And so what I ended up doing was I created classes where people would come in and I'd say, hey, normally the lunch is $2.50. If you charge me $5, if you give me $5, I will buy the food for you and teach you how to make your own pizza, because that's really cool. And all the kids thought it was really cool. And so at a certain point, I had like 30 kids at a time. We'd all get lunch. I get in line. I get, hey, I can get 30 of these. I'd order for all of them, take them over to the cafeteria, and I think it was like 7. And then I'd stand up and I'd give the whole like presentation on how to do this thing. And it was going really well. I was profiting quite a bit of money. And I remember my parents were really upset because they were getting charges of like like $100 a day or so. And I don't think I ever actually told them. I think I just ended up taking that money and spending it on like trading cards or whatever. But as I got older, that sort of evolved into different things. The first thing that involved like sort of real money was I was a competitive Fortnite gamer for a little while. Now this sounds really strange, but I competitively played Fortnite. It's a video game, and I made like tens of thousands of dollars off of that because I streamed it and I competed and stuff like that, and it was one of the best in the world. Because I thought it would be how I'd become a millionaire. I thought that was kind of the goal, and that was really, really cool. And I could retire my parents because I'd be the best Fortnite player in the world. That didn't work out. The reality hit. Best in the world, make like $50,000 a year, and that's not going to retire my parents anytime soon. So I started looking at sort of other areas. This is during COVID time, whenever NFTs were blowing up, crypto was blowing up. There was kind of hype around that. The GameStop crash happened, and so that kind of sparked my interest in trading. So uh, I started day trading. That was something that I really, really spent a lot of time doing. And
Wow.
it got so crazy to the point where I was in my class and I would be like phone under the desk, and I'd be making sure that I set the current stop loss and making sure all that stuff. And it went really well. It went really well, but my phone got taken away so many times, and I got sent to the principal's office and all that stuff. I figured I'd probably pursue less time intensive career. And so that was when the first, I guess, the idea of leverage got first shown to me. And it was that I need to figure out something that I'm not constantly at the desk doing to make money. And so I discovered drop shipping. It was kind of what was the hot craze.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've heard of drop shipping.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Um, but I
I've
started off,
seen some people take drop shipping
oh yeah,
into a full-time, very
yeah,
large
yeah,
organization
absolutely.
too.
And so it was kind of this like on the side learning bit, but I think dropshipping was one of the best businesses for someone that's getting new and getting their toes wet into entrepreneurship to try. Because dude, I learned marketing, I learned how to make a website, I learned how to, talk to suppliers, manufacturers, and I was like 15. How to network with different people and how to actually run ads. I learned how to use a Facebook pixel, all these sort of things that you don't really get to learn at age 15, And so I started off with one store and I did well, and did another store, and then I had a sort of a conglomerate company that just had a whole bunch of different stores. It wasn't seven figures or anything like that, but it was really substantial money for, a 15-year-old at the time. Um,
That's substantial money for a lot of 30 and 40-year-olds, just for the record.
Yeah, but yeah, I didn't really want to continue doing drop shipping because at a certain point it just ate away at me at the fact that I was making money off of geriatric 70-year-olds that needed the bottle opener made from China that was upsold at like a 90% margin. And this is around the time that I was like, you know what, I want to do something real. I want to do like a real company. And I was maybe 16. And so I gathered some friends and I was like, hey, you're interested into business, you're interested in business. Let's just do something. And I created my first real formal company, which was legal tech. Yeah, the name was legal tech. It was in the legal tech industry. I wasn't very creative. But it was essentially a AI-based matchmaking tool that connected both people that wanted a lawyer and lawyers. And it was free to the people that wanted to find a lawyer. And then I just generated money off of leads. It did well. That was a $1.5 million company. We got like a team of 10 eventually. But the biggest problem that I ran into was it's probably not the move to start a company with two other people that don't have complementary skill sets. We were all just kind of interested in the same thing. We all had the exact same skill sets, and that just caused arguing at every single step because everybody had their own opinion on what to do. There was no real technical guy. We were white labeling that out. And so it was kind of a mess. And so what we ended up doing was we split ways with the money. And then through talking to tons of lawyers that doing that company, I'm doing what I'm doing now.
Cool. So talk about the AI aspect. I'm a big AI lover. I use ChatGPT. I use Claude. I use some other platforms, mostly for content and for helping me do things like
Yeah,
this,
absolutely.
helping me with lots of things. But uh, tell me about it, how the AI, how you approach the creating your own AI platform. What are you using? How much can you share from that?
Yeah, so right now I mean, AI is such a blanket term.
Yeah.
And it goes so much deeper than just AI because AI is kind of like a buzzword that people can use just to raise millions of dollars.
Yeah.
But in what we're doing right now, there is probably 5 AIs running at the same time, even though all of it kind of encompasses an AI. And so I'm not going go into like the super nitty gritty details. But if you want to create your own AI company, it's actually quite simple if the level of difficulty and complexity of the actual product that you want to build isn't too crazy. GPT is just kind of a general term, but I'm just going to refer to it as OpenAI's ChatGPT. So they have the ability, OpenAI, they have the ability to create your own GPT. And essentially, you can use either like 3.5 model, 4.0 model, whatever you want to use as a base. And you can give it a little input like, be my AI receptionist for a law firm. And then that is its sole purpose. And so now whenever I talk to it, it doesn't let me talk to it about anything else other than something that you would talk to an AI receptionist for a law firm about. And so it just creates a little API, and then you can plug it into your application, and bing, bam, boom, you've created an AI receptionist for a law firm. It's a lot more complex like that if you want to create something that's sort of higher level. But at this day and age, it's so easy to create a generative AI model that is large language model based, where it's just you're talking to somebody that does a specific purpose. It's incredibly easy. And so obviously, I don't recommend trying to train a foundational model from the ground up, giving in terabytes of data and trying to have parameters set by someone that doesn't know anything about AI.
Yeah.
But if you're trying to get your toes wet and actually implementing AI in your own company, then OpenAI has a fantastic service that all you have to do is just type in your prompt, you get an API, you plug it into your application, and bam, you have an AI.
Wow. That's amazing. So what you made I'm gonna go back to something you talked about a few minutes ago about the need for having people with complementary skills.
Yeah.
And I see this sometimes. Some of the most effective companies I work with, have, they've got the person that's the driver, they got the person that's the cares about the people, they got the person who knows the data inside and out. They've got this, complementary set of skills, and they're able to. So you've learned that at a very, very young age, obviously. Tell me a little more about, is your current situation better than that? Did you learn that and apply that in this new situation?
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the best skills of an entrepreneur is being able to not only learn from your mistakes, but actually implement those learnings. And so, I decided that for this company, I was going to pair it with somebody that I literally had zero skill in. I'm not a technical guy. I know how to code. I know my way around a computer, but I'm not coding 12 hours a day. So I ended up partnering with a guy. He's, nationally awarded by state level, federal level. He's for his advancements in the technology field. He's extraordinarily good at what he does. And so I'm able to get a technical guy that he does not like talking to people at all. For me, that's my whole thing. I get told whenever like people are describing or whatever, like my job is just smile, kiss babies, and sell. And that's kind of the gist. And so being able to have somebody that's so complimentary like that makes things so easy, because he just wants to focus on making a really, really good product. And I want to focus on getting people to know about this really, really good product, helping them have the resources to build this really, really good product. And so when you have a team like that, it's a wonderful experience being able to work in something that meshes that well.
Yeah. That's very, it's so interesting that you've discovered that. I know 50-year-old entrepreneurs that don't get that. So
it's a tough lesson to learn. It sucks when you find out you did it wrong, but once you figure it out, you realize I cannot go back. Yeah.
Well, and we haven't really mentioned anything about, I wrote a book, and the book is Your Baby is Ugly. And the idea is,
love the title, by the way.
Yeah, thank you. Unfortunately, have used the phrase too many times. I'll be sitting with a client and I'll say, I know I just told you your baby was ugly, but we can fix this, and but you discovered, your ugly baby moment came at like 16. I mean, most people are doing that for years and years and beating their head against the wall and frustrated and all that sort of thing. So that's really, really interesting. But tell me a little about where you're going, because we talked a little bit about this before we hopped on the call, but obviously you're thinking about college, but man, you're also having so much fun, so much success.
Yeah.
We were
Yeah.
talking about the difference in our ages. When I was your age, if you wanted to do anything professional, you had to go to college. It was just the way it was. There was no other way of getting the skills and getting the tools to be able to. I went for computer science. I learned how to be a programmer and started
Yeah.
programming. Is what I did out of college. But it's so different. So give us the perspective of that as a very, very intelligent, obviously very driven 18-year-old who's contemplating his future.
So, first off, I don't think that college is necessary. If you're driven, that's the big caveat. I think it's better than nothing. But Harvard, MIT, Stanford, they all put their computer science courses, their business courses for free online. That's not a problem. The knowledge itself should not be the barrier um, for anybody, because if you're going to college purely for the knowledge, it just means that you don't have the tenacity to force feed it to yourself. Because when you're going to college at this point, it's because purely for knowledge. It's because you want professors to keep you accountable about learning the thing. And so for me, when I applied to colleges and stuff like that, I kept this in the back of my head because I don't want to spend like a ton of money on something that just doesn't make a ton of sense for me.
Mm.
Because and I'm just going to address the caveat, which was back in your time, if you want to go to college, you kind of had to go to college for the knowledge, because that
Yeah,
that wasn't accessible. You couldn't take Harvard's classes on computer science. You couldn't take Harvard's classes on
right.
business. Um, it was just not possible. But
Yeah.
now, I mean,
The
YouTube,
best you could hope for would be
all
a
that
book
stuff.
to read. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, exactly. But anyways, so when I'm looking ahead, I know a lot of my friends already who they go into college and within their first year they raise, $1 million. Their company's doing great, $100,000 a month, and they just drop out. Um, and it's kind of becoming more of a reality. And I know that sounds crazy. Obviously, I'm kind of this isn't everybody, but a lot of these kids that I know are founding companies, making enough money to where college doesn't really make sense anymore. And so I'm facing the same sort of thing. I'm going to Carnegie Mellon next year, because they are just the best in AI. I think
Mm.
I was choosing between Berkeley and Carnegie Mellon, um, and I don't think that Carnegie Mellon, for people that don't know, it's in Pittsburgh. They are just incredible at technology.
Hmm.
A lot of people like for example, the head scientist at OpenAI is from there. Um, a lot of founders of like big multi-billion
Yeah.
dollar companies, they come out of Carnegie Mellon. And so I decided to go there because of how strong they are and the things that I think would be really, really important to know, or at least be in the forefront of. But dropping out is absolutely a possibility, just because I think it's kind of understandable why the trade-off of focusing on the company that's given you so much,
Hmm.
doing so much revenue and taking up so much of your time, it probably makes more sense to go full on that than it is to finish out a 4-year degree on something that you are already learning in real time.
Yeah. So I'm just curious, where does this drive that you have? You mentioned you got to have drive to do what you're doing and to maybe not go to college but still be wildly successful. Where does that drive come from for you? Is that something your parents ingrained in you? Is it just are you just a self-made type person like that? I mean, you talked about second grade. My goodness. I mean, this has been most of your life.
I mean, honestly, it's just fun. Um, I don't think that there's a certain thing I'm trying to beat, or somebody I'm trying to prove wrong, or some sort of thing that was ingrained in me.
Yeah.
I think it's just I realized if I was on my deathbed, and I really really wanted to do entrepreneurship when I was young, and if I was on my deathbed and I didn't pursue entrepreneurship at all, I didn't try and chase those things, try and just do some really really cool stuff, I don't want to feel regret.
Mhm.
And that's something that really really sticks with me, which is I don't want to feel regret for not chasing and doing the cool things that I wanted to do. And I think that running a company, doing stuff like this, being surrounded by people that are like you, that are just doing really awesome stuff in the world of business, if I don't follow that, I will be full of regret. And so right now I have my house paid for. My food is paid for, my laundry is taken care of. I'm living with my parents, right?
Right.
It is almost unacceptable to have these dreams and not trying to get at least proactive on it whenever learning is for free right now. I mean, I
Mm.
can make as many mistakes as possible. I still have a house. I still have food. Um, and so I think it's more just out of I'm trying to position myself to have more fun, is where the sort of intensity is coming from right now. But it's honestly just enjoyable.
Yeah. Well, and there's so much to the idea of pursuing your dream, your passion. There's a big debate out there right now. Is it more important to have passion or skills and other things? And I think it's both, right? You're obviously a very intelligent person. You've got obviously good family and lots of you've got a lot of things going for you, but you also have that passion and you're doing something you love doing. I told you, my first entrepreneurial thing in college was I was a DJ, which I loved music. And it was, I was a
Yeah.
college guy going to parties, it was a lot of fun. And so we had a blast. Could I have turned that into a career? Maybe, but I wasn't really, I was having fun at the time, but it wasn't
Yeah. Yeah.
probably wasn't going to be a career for me. But I still learned stuff, right? I learned about writing contracts and negotiating stuff and, buying equipment and all sorts of things. So,
Yeah.
there were even early business principles that I learned there that I didn't really at the time realize I was learning. So that's cool that you're so passionate about this. I'm really intrigued by you. I hope I think I'm going to be following you, and I just I just picture someday we're gonna talk about Bill Gates and Steve Jobs, and we're gonna talk about Ethan Hilton. And people are going to say, is he part of that Hilton family? No, he's his own man. He's I think we're going to hear great things about you. Um, if people want to connect with you, obviously you're on LinkedIn. I know is there any other platforms you like prefer to be contacted with?
LinkedIn's my main one.
Okay, very good. And any lawyers out there that might be interested in learning about your AI receptionists, is there a website for them to go to, or
Just go to caseflood.ai. The name is the domain.
that keeps it easy, doesn't it? Caseflood.ai. Well, Ethan, this has been it's been a pleasure. It's a real joy. You are very impressive, and
Appreciate it. Yeah.
I think great things are coming for you, no matter what you do over the next year or two. You got some great things coming. I'm sure you're going to inspire a lot of other people to go, hey, I can do that too. And that's what we hope to accomplish with this.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for having me on.